I just don't understand how something like this could happen here at New Amsterdam Prep. We try so hard to model peaceful methods of conflict resolution.
A good example is the best sermon.
Benjamin Franklin. It's been my motto as headmistress.
Murderer.
Mrs. Boersma, do you have any idea who the murderer might be?
None. Tag was such a popular kid.
Does this fit with what we've heard? What did you say exactly? Do you have any idea who the murderer might have been? None. Tag was such a popular kid. I don't know. He got into fights. No? Yay! Miss Vanderhook said Tag was expelled last month. Benjamin Franklin never, I'm not even good. Benjamin Franklin never said a good example is the best sermon. Mrs. Vanderhook said murder is a surprisingly common occurrence at, no. Mrs. Vanderhook said Tag had a tendency to, damn.
Mrs. Vanderhook told us he got in a lot of fights.
Yes, well, he was high-spirited, I suppose, but we all loved him. He was loaded with life.
Loaded is the word.
Medal in mouth.
What can you tell us about this medal?
State cross-country champion 1997. I'm sorry, gentlemen. I can rattle off academic records from memory, but sports records, that's another story. Is Coach Harvey in? Well, when he gets back, have him give me a call. I've got a question for him.
Lock on door.
The weight room door has a keypad lock.
Yes, that's a recent change. Some students were complaining that certain athletes were monopolizing the equipment. The lock allows us to monitor who uses the facility and when. We issue a different code for each sports team, one for football, one for lacrosse, and so forth.
Yes. That's the one that pissed me off because fucking doesn't make sense. Doesn't make sense. Also, Mrs. Vanderhook said Tag had access to the room because he was on the wrestling team. Team schedule posted in the workout room. Mrs. Vanderhook was surprised that Tag could have gotten in since he's never been on team. Mrs. Vanderhook said that Tag had been injured fighting over equipment rights.
Can you tell us who entered this morning?
Certainly. I just have to check the record. That's odd.
What?
There were 2 codes entered this morning. I recognize the second one. That's the code for the golf team. But the one that was entered at 5:40, that doesn't match any of the codes we issued.
Administrative code, maybe?
No, I've never seen it before. 01010.
Okay then.
You've been headmistress here for 20 years.
No, just the last 8. I began as a classics instructor. Moved up into administration in '89, but I still teach a class in Virgil now and then.
I think we're getting off topic here.
But red herrings are fun.
You said the first code was entered at 5:40. What time was the second code entered?
6:08.
Was this before the murder? I don't know. When did we retrieve the phone? What did the phone say? Dinner. $6:05. Was this before the murder? No. I found it. What can we conclude from this fact? The killer entered the golf code. Tag entered the mysterious code. Tag didn't enter the golf code. All of the above. All of the above? Ha!
6:08? That's after the murder.
The killer went out and came back in?
Maybe the medal in the mouth stunt was an afterthought.
Who's metal?
Coach Harvey? Yes, I know, just ghastly. Tell me something. The first place state medal for cross country from 97. Yes. Can you tell me who... Harris, of course. No, that's all, thank you. The student who won that medal is dead. His name was Harrison Bedford.
Should we recognize the name Harrison Bedford from a previous case? I feel like I should. Oh, whoa. Oh, God, was it the Preppy Jogger? Must have been.
Harrison Bedford, the Preppy Jogger.
That's right, he was a student here. May 17th, 1998. Almost exactly a year ago.
You followed the case?
We conducted the case, and please, you don't have to remind us we blew it.
I'm sure you tried your best. It's such a tragic loss.
Could the two murders be related? Were Harrison and Tag enemies?
Well, not to my knowledge. We encourage our students to rise above petty feuds. Semper et infirmi est animi exeguique voluptus ultio.
Alright, don't go
You took
speaking
the
other
words
languages
right out
on
of my
me.
mouth. Harrison Bedford had a brother in middle school, didn't he?
Not anymore. Franklin's here at New Amsterdam this year. He's a freshman.
What about the girlfriend? What's her name?
Have we met Harrison's girlfriend? Yes. Was it? No, not Abby. Allison. I think it was Allison. We're going with Allison. I knew it began with an A, which is almost why I clicked Abby.
Allison Conway.
Yes, she's a senior, transferred here at the start of the school year, sponsored by Mr. Bedford.
Are both kids in school today?
Well, they should be. Yes. Oh, I remember seeing Allison's Mercedes in the lot when I arrived.
We'll need to talk to them.
But they're in class. I hate to disrupt the students' education.
It's our education I'm thinking about right now.
So she's a high school senior with a baby? Good one. Okay, I'm back. Hopefully my frames will be good this time. I have no idea. My frames, I've tried doing this part. Like, this will be my third time trying to do it. Because my frames
Allison
have been
Conway
horrible.
goes to prep school now.
Mr. Bedford is a generous fellow.
Probably helps that Allison gave birth to his grandson.
Here's one case where being a teenage mother moves you up the social scale.
Detective Briscoe, Detective Curtis.
Nice to see you, too.
I guess this is about Tag Vanderhook.
News travels fast.
We'd like to ask you a few questions.
You know, there's another murder that's still unsolved.
Right. We're investigating whether there might be a connection.
Yeah, so if I know things, which I will know most of these answers, up until a certain point, like, I know all the answers for these. My frames, don't do this, don't do this. I know all of these answers because I've done this before, and I know, I think, 2 other answers, so.
Where were you at 6 o'clock this morning?
6 o'clock? I was at home.
Home is still in Brooklyn?
No, I live with the Bedfords now, ever since Brendan was born. I thought you knew that.
Memory's the first thing to go.
Can anyone confirm your whereabouts?
Sure, the whole household was up at 6. Brendan was throwing one of his famous tantrums. He's got a scream that could shatter glass.
Frames, don't be doing this. Because it can be corroborated.
I tried to sneak canned baby food onto his plate and he caught on. So I have to go down to the kitchen and mix him up a fresh batch in the blender.
Kid's got discriminating tastes.
He's a Bedford.
One thing I gotta say is that, I said this in one of the previous parts I was recording, that you won't see because frames are shit, and the frames are being shit right now too, is that, I like Telltale Games has come into their own sort of, style with, The Walking Dead and The Wolf Among Us, and I briefly saw they were gonna do a Game of Thrones, but I don't know anything about that. I don't watch Game of Thrones. Is that I like how they stylized this one. It doesn't have their style on it. And I feel like it's quite appropriate for Law and Order games.
Did you know the victim?
Tag? Sure. I mean, a little. This is a small school. It's hard not to know everybody a little. And Tag wasn't the type to blend into the woodwork.
How long have you known him?
Since September, I guess.
Yes, and if my frames drop to shit, I'm sorry. I can't, oh my god, I'm gonna freak. Because she just started the school year.
What'd you think of him?
Everyone kowtowed to Tag because of his mom's money. He liked to brag about his conquests in class, and the teachers were too spineless to shut him up. I kept my distance.
So you weren't one of his conquests?
God, no. As if.
I was gonna say something else too, and then I forgot.
Franklin Bedford's supposed to be in gym right now, but we didn't see him on the basketball court.
He's off with the golf team at the Chelsea Piers driving range. They've got a big tournament coming up, and the coach has them all practicing their swings. What? Check with Mr. Tate if you don't believe me.
I like how she doesn't look like she's looking at them at that moment. Because the golf team's code entered on the weight room keypad lock thingamajig, who's a what's it?
Golf on a day like this. It's been pouring all morning.
The driving range is covered now.
Must have happened after they revoked your membership.
But golfing during school hours? These
How
two,
old's the
these
little
next
guy?
two are
6
red
months.
herrings.
You should see him. So full of energy. He rolled over for the first time last week.
That's great.
Hate to be a killjoy, but shouldn't we get back to the subject at hand?
Oh yeah, and by the way, I just said this in another recording too, but one thing that is just, you know, just a little nitpicking is that I think they could have just done a slight better job at making her look like she's actually in high school and is a teenager, because to me, she kind of looks like she could be in like college or something like that, you know, early 20s versus like 18, but that's just me nitpicking, you know, and things like that even happen in real life, so, you know, baby food is also a
What
red
makes
herring.
your baby food so special?
Arugula. I know, kids are supposed to hate stuff like that, right? But Bendy inhales it. I call him Bendy.
Let's get back to the murder, okay?
Another red herring. Alright, these two, I don't know anything about this one, and I have to say I don't remember anything of this one because my frame started being shit and I couldn't take it anymore.
Something peculiar about this murder.
Tag had a medal shoved in his mouth. Harrison's medal, right?
How do these things get out?
It's a high school detective. So, who do you think put it in there? Harrison's ghost?
Would he have reason to? Did he have something against Tag?
When me and Harrison were together, we didn't waste time talking about Tad Vanderhook, okay? But he did stick up for me once when Tag was a real ass.
I just noticed that whenever she like moves her eyes or something, that more of her hair shows like right here. So that's just kind of amusing. It's like, huh, so the hair is actually below the face model type thing, you know what I mean? Does this fit with Allison's earlier testimony? I'm sorry, did not pay attention. I was too focused on that. Plus, whenever she was saying when her and Harrison were together, she didn't waste time talking about Tag. I was just like, yeah, 'cause they were too busy getting it on, baby time, whoop whoop. That's all I thought. So, but he did stick up for me once when Tag was a real ass. Does this fit with Allison's earlier testimony? Yeah? Okay, no, it doesn't. I was wrong.
I thought you first met Tag this past September.
Yeah. Not counting that house party last spring.
Tell us about that house party.
Harrison wanted to introduce me to his prep school friends. Tag wasn't invited, but he showed up anyway. About midnight. He got in my face and called me Harrison's little Brooklyn bitch. Harrison got him in a headlock and made him apologize. Totally humiliated him. It was awesome.
And that was the end of it? Tag ran off with his tail between his legs?
I don't really remember how it ended, to be honest. I was pretty wasted at the time. I passed out not too long afterwards.
Alright, so I got one wrong. I totally didn't even think about her now dead boyfriend. I stood up for him. Whoops.
You live in the same house as Franklin. Was he there at 6?
Sure, I assume.
You didn't see him.
No, I mean, he would have still been asleep at that hour.
Is this no, you said everyone was up. That's the one thing I did pay attention to, because I heard it like 15 times. Allison testified that her screaming baby had everyone up at 6. Headmistress remarked that Franklin is an early bird. Franklin's car was spotted in the car parking lot at 6 o'clock tea time at Chelsea's Pier. I'm going with this one.
You told us nobody could sleep on account of your baby.
Nobody except Franklin, I meant. That kid could sleep through anything.
Sounds
Did
like
you
me.
actually see Franklin this morning?
No.
I can sleep through anything. I like go into hibernation mode when I'm asleep. What if we're killing Tag?
Tag insults you. Harrison attacks Tag. And later, Harrison is dead. I guess people must have pointed fingers.
At Tag? Like I said, I hardly knew him. When you guys ruled him out as a suspect, I never gave him another thought.
What about the people who did know him?
I guess a lot of the kids around here kept on thinking he might have been involved.
Did Tag do anything to dispel their suspicions?
Tag was a bully. I think he liked having people think he was a killer, especially the younger kids.
Kids like Franklin.
Thanks, Allison. We'll be in touch.
Because that's what you want everyone to know you as. Oh yeah, I'm a total killer. Yep, that's how I want people to remember me. Potential killer.